privilege for me to be coming for my very first time to a Bsides event. I am thrilled to see the audience here, the level of debate, discourse, and the level of technical discussions that are taking place. It reminds me of a time 10 years back when I used to be a little deeper into technology, but now I am not into core technology. I have moved beyond. I have gone into areas of technology policy, technology diplomacy, and stuff like that. So in my keynote address, I am going to take you in a fascinating journey which will expose the world in which I am living, and it will also give you a global perspective of what technology is doing. Because technology is in various layers. Very often when you are at the coding level or when you are at the app level, you lose sight of the overall global picture. So the first question that I would like to ask you is, in your view, how critical is the role of technology for human civilization? Because a lot of people who say this technology, your laptop and desktops and all this, your tablets and all that, they are not so critical to human life. So any guesses in the audience? Do you think that technology is very critical for human life, or technology is an integral part of human life, or it is something good to have but we can do without it? Yeah, any answers? Why do you say it's an integral part?
It's actually enabling you to address this problem. That's the best.
Yeah, but then I can be in a jungle, I don't need to probably address this crowd. So I mean, that is a counter argument. Anybody else, you feel it is very critical and core, or you feel it is something which is not so critical? Anybody else? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's very critical, I think, because technology ranges from the first rock that we use to break a shell with, through to making fire, hitting people with sticks.
Exactly.
It's a part of human development.
Yeah. So one way of looking at this is that the history of civilization and the history of the human race is actually the history of technology. I'm trying to write a book on this. Because if you see the fire, when human beings got to know about fire, it enabled them to conquer their fear of wild animals, it enabled them to cook food, it increased the range of operation. When they invented the wheel, they could go a longer distance. When they discovered agriculture, they could then start settling down. So every small piece of technology is actually integrally intertwined with the history of mankind. So, like for example, what led to the emergence of the Mughal Empire? It was the ability to control war elephants, the technology to tame and control elephants, and the technology to smelt iron made them conquer the entire subcontinent from Afghanistan to Tamil Nadu. So technology has been that critical. Now let us fast forward. In today's times, technology has become even more critical, especially after the advent of the internet. After the advent of the internet, every walk of human life, whether it is education or gambling or games or banking, everything has got a term E in front of this. Now, when you look at the characteristics of the modern internet, it is completely boundaryless. Then there is a concept of ambient intelligence and ubiquitous computing. It is growing at a tremendous pace. In the past, our world was very simple. We were nation states, there were borders, there were hills and rivers to demarcate proper states. But after the advent of internet, it has challenged the very concept of the nation state as we understand it. And this challenge is being grappled with at the highest level, whether it is the United Nations or it is the authority which controls the internet. So, internet has completely changed what we understand by a nation state. For example, many countries are now saying, what is this internet all about? It is being controlled by the Department of Commerce of USA. It is not a truly multi-stakeholder kind of an approach. You see where all the root servers are located. Most of the root servers are located in the US. So should it actually be the internet or should it be Equinet? So far the internet has developed without much government interference. It has grown very fast, it has grown wide. But now there is a debate, especially countries like China and Russia. They are saying that we should abandon the concept of internet and we should get in the concept of Equinet. It should be equal for everybody. And nation states should have a greater control over this. Another dimension of this is the disproportionate importance that multinational companies are having. If you see the list of 10 most valuable companies in 1996, General Motors, Ford Motors, Exxon, Walmart, AT&T, General Electric, and you compare it with the list of 10 most valuable companies in 2016, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Berkshire Hathaway, etc., and Amazon. Now, if you take any one of these companies and then compare it with the GDP of the countries of the world, most of these companies will fall between 40 and 50 richest countries. And if you do the sum total of the turnover of these companies, it would be something like within the top 10 of the world. So that is the kind of importance that big multinational corporations are winning. Now, these multinational corporations are mostly governed by US laws and US cultures. This leads to a lot of international tensions. For example, there could be a case of somebody chopping a cow and that video getting viral. Now, if this is reported by the Indian authorities to me and I report it to a US authority, that person will say, why are you getting so ballistic? Somebody is killing a cow, so what? But they will not understand what is the sensitivity in India. Similarly, if there is a Nazi symbol, it is very common in India. But suppose the same thing is shown in Europe, the sensitivity is very different. Now, we have a dichotomy of a technology which is global, but being operated by people who are local. The thinking is completely local. Now, how does this internet and this international tension, how does it play out in the global arena? So today, what is happening is that almost every country in the world has surreptitiously developed cyber capabilities. Some countries like China are very open about it. They have a battalion and they have a brigade which deals only with cyber warfare. Most other countries, they keep quiet. There are countries who are operating hackers. There are countries who encourage non-state actors. And the impact of this is actually altering the state of play of international affairs. So just to give you an example, Iran was steadfastly refusing to negotiate with the international community as far as the dismantling of its nuclear infrastructure was concerned. Now, how was Iran brought to its knees? It was brought by a small code, which was the Stuxnet. So if you don't know, I'll just describe it in 2 words. So this code, Iran had a ultra-centrifuge project where U-235 and U-238 was separated. The centrifuge used to spin at a very fast pace. So through a pen drive, a code was introduced, a virus was introduced, and the centrifuge started spinning at twice or thrice its rated capacity, whereas the main console person could not make out whether the centrifuge is spinning at the right speed or not. Now, overnight, when they saw the 10 years of work, all the ultra centrifuges had gone over fast and then broken. within months they came to the negotiating table. So that is the power of code. There are so many other examples like what has happened in Estonia, what has happened in Ukraine, what has happened in the US elections, what is happening due to Chinese efforts to do a lot of cyber espionage, and the widespread use of bots, whether it is in election campaign or in click or in order to capture systems and then bring down systems. So how is the world coping with this? So the problem is that there are a lot of multinational companies, like for example Microsoft. We have the 90% of the PCs of the world run on Microsoft. We have a responsibility of giving the user the trust, because once they lose the trust, they will run away from the technology. It is purely due to our own commercial interest. But at the same time, this conflicts with the interest of various nation states. So what we are doing at a very high level, at a global level, is we are trying to bring about what is known as a digital Geneva Convention. In the physical world, there is a Geneva Convention which says that non-military targets should not be attacked in times of war, which is your hospitals, your schools and stuff like that. So in terms of the digital world, we are trying to bring about an agreement between various countries called the Digital Geneva Convention, whereby we are trying various nations to come forward and to say that yes, in times of cyber war, we will not attack the civilian infrastructure of any other country. But there are problems with this because most nation states refuse to acknowledge that they have such offensive capabilities. There have been examples in the past of such treaties and such agreements taking place between nation states. One is the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Second is the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. So now in the cyber domain, we are trying to get a similar treaty created. So the core issue is creation of trust between nation states, creation of trust for the end user, and creation of trust for the entire internet ecosystem. Another area where the international tensions play out is in the area of law enforcement access. So if there is a crime, the Indian government may approach me, but the server might be somewhere else. So in the physical world, it was very simple. You got a fellow, you got a seizure memo, and you got all the information out. But in a cyber world, his information might be disaggregated, and India's information might be in Ireland or might be in US, or let us say in case of Google, the information may be in several different data centers all over the country. Now, who owns the data and who has the power to seek this data? And if, for example, one argument is you could tell that these companies like Microsoft or Google should hand over the data to the government, irrespective of what the cause is, what the reason for seeking the data is. But sometimes this data is taken for very draconian purposes. It is taken to arrest people, it is taken to do human rights violations, it is taken to arrest and kill people. So can Microsoft or Google give this information? So other people argue that you are not a nation state, you are not a political entity, you are just a company, you please give the data which the government asks. So again there is a need for a very fine balance to make a proper process so that there is no abuse of human rights, so that the companies are not accused of playing hand in glove with dictators and dictatorial regimes. The International Telecom Union, which is the apex body of the telecommunication industry, is now playing a very active role. The ITU is a 170-year-old organization. It is part of the UN. So the internet grew very fast. So the telcos had no part to play in that. Now the ITU is saying that your entire internet rides on the infrastructure which is provided by the telcos. So the telcos should have a pride of place in deciding what will be the fate of the internet. So there is another tension taking place in the international arena on the internet companies or the new age companies and the telcos, which are the old age companies. So how to improve trust? What is the kind of work which is going on all over the world? One, I told you, Digital Geneva Convention. Second is the hardware supply chain security. So now companies are getting their own chips made, fabricated. They go right up to the first level of manufacture to see that there is no malware embedded into the chips or embedded into the machines. Then there is the secure development life cycle. So you need to make security inbuilt and not bolt on. So this process has now become a sort of industry practice, but secure development life cycle is very important. Things like bug bounty program is going on. A lot of formal and informal bug bounty programs are going on. I know cases where people have got up to $100,000 for a bug, for a zero-day exploit. Then partnership between governments and industry that is taking place. Even in India, we partner with the government of India to give them advance notice about botnets, because we are based all over the world. Suppose somebody is switching on his computer in Japan, then 3.5 hours before India wakes up, we know that digital tsunami is coming. So we collaborate with the government of India to give them this information. There is also a takedown program. So wherever the bots are particularly malicious, we work with the local government to take down the infrastructure which is propagating these bots. At the same time, we are also working for changing laws. So for example, between different countries, if you need information, there is something called a mutual legal assistance treaty. So we are, that mutual legal assistance treaty is very, very slow. That leads to a lot of frustration for the government, that if I am asking you a query and you are giving me the reply in 1 year. And they have to crack the terrorism related cases very fast. So there is a debate going on changing of these laws. And nation states are feeling that internet is going out of control and they need to change the fundamental architecture of the internet to give the nation states more control. So this is all that I have. Just gave you a quick roundup of where things are at the stratospheric level, an area which you may not see, you may not be looking at it at all because you are at the cutting edge technology level. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Almost secure architecture, chip level this thing. In the Snowden leaks, we were able to see like Microsoft, like US was able to manipulate the Cisco routers at chip level and all those things. How come like a nation can take it, but the IT companies, how can they able to avoid this thing and this thing?
Yes, so it is, what you are saying is very right, because there were a lot of surreptitious operations to try and sabotage the software and the hardware industry. So now what is happening is that world over different countries have got very much alerted to this. So if there is any software or if there is any hardware which is coming, they have some kind of international benchmarking and common criteria testing and stuff like that to mitigate this. But this cat and mouse game will keep going on. So it will keep going on. We cannot eliminate it, we have to only avoid it. Like people, while they build hotels, they put bugs into the walls and stuff like that. So that is an ongoing game.
Any questions?